Hello, dear friend. Welcome to Healing Pages channel, the safe haven where every page you turn brings you gently back to yourself. I still remember that day. It was just a random afternoon in December. Nothing special. The weather wasn't too cold. It was just a day like any other. And yet, I cried. Not because something big happened. No one yelled at me. No one left me. I just felt empty. Strangely empty. I sat in my tiny rented room, sunlight gently filtering through the cream-colored curtains, and suddenly noticed tears had fallen on my hand without me realizing. Have you ever felt like that? On the outside, everything looks fine. But inside, it's like your soul is hollow. No one gets why you're sad. Not even you. That night, instead of scrolling through social media like usual, I reached for a book by my bedside. Stillness Speaks by Eckhart Tolle. I didn't expect much. I just needed something to hold on to. Something small to anchor me. And then I read this line. Stillness is where creativity and solutions to problems are found. I read it again. And again. It was like, for the first time in a while, my brain finally picked up a signal in the noise. That was the start of a new kind of journey. A journey of reading. Not to pass time. Not to get smarter. But to understand myself. To pull myself out of this quiet emotional shutdown no one teaches us how to escape. Some days, all I needed was one line from a book to keep going. Not fancy advice. Not someone pretending to understand. Just a sentence. Gentle. But right on time. Like someone who had been through it and left a small map behind. Have you ever laid in bed at night, heart heavy for no clear reason? Have you smiled at others, then turned away, feeling completely empty again? I've been there. And I started to realize, maybe I wasn't being honest with my own emotions. Maybe I needed to pause, not to run away, but to finally look at myself. Look at the pain I'd been avoiding, the loneliness, the fear that I'm not improving fast enough. And one of the first things that helped me do that was books. It sounds simple, but it's true. Just books. Words. Writers I've never met, sitting somewhere in the world, writing about their own heartbreak, vulnerability, and truth. And somehow, I saw myself in their stories. One thing I've learned after years of trying to be strong is this. Pretending to be okay doesn't actually make you safe. It just makes you tired. The constant need to hide your pain, to always act like you've got it together, it's a sweet trap. It disconnects you from your real feelings. Today, I'm not just here to talk about books. I want to share the moments they saved me. The sleepless nights. The failures. The times I felt like no one stayed. And the quiet, powerful times when I learned to forgive myself. I hope this video can be a small beginning for you. Not because I have all the answers, but because I once got lost too. And these books helped me find my way back. Maybe, just maybe, one of them might speak to you the way they did to me. If you're ready, let's begin this journey. In each chapter, I'll talk about a book, a quote I can't forget, the feelings it brought up, and the small changes it sparked in me. Because healing doesn't happen when we try to forget, it begins when we listen. Really listen. First, to ourselves. And sometimes, the right book at the right time, is exactly how that begins. When your body is fine, but your soul is tired. There was a time when I almost lost my ability to feel joy or sadness. Everything became blurry, like I was living behind a fogged-up window. I still ate, still showed up to work on time, still talked, still smiled. But inside, I felt empty. It wasn't depression, not in the clinical sense, at least. But it was definitely a kind of exhaustion, not physical, emotional. I started doubting myself. Why do I feel tired? I have a decent job, loving people around me. I'm not struggling. What right do I have to feel not okay? That kind of thinking trapped me. Tired of being tired, but even more tired from not understanding why. Sad, but unable to give myself permission to feel sad. Then one day, I randomly picked up a book I used to think was a bit cheesy. The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. I wasn't expecting much, but then, I came across this line, change your thoughts and you change your world. It sounded simple, but at that moment, it hit me like a soft slap to the mind. Because all this time, I had been focusing on everything that was wrong, complaining, spiraling in negative emotions, disappointment, without ever asking, how am I choosing to look at all this? Norman doesn't just write theory, he tells stories, real stories, of people who lost direction, who stood on the edge between hope and hopelessness, and how, step by step, they changed their experience of life, by changing their attitude. There was one story about a man who lost his job, his family, everything. He started each morning by writing down 3 good things that happened the day before. At first, it felt forced, but eventually, that practice became a small light in a very dark room. I decided to try the same. One day, I wrote, "Didn't get stuck in traffic today. A friend texted me just to check in. My milk tea tasted better than usual." Tiny things, but they made life feel a little softer. Positive thinking doesn't mean ignoring your sadness. It means learning to walk with it, without letting it drown you. It means you're allowed to feel pain, and still hold on to hope. The book taught me something so gently, without being preachy. We can't always control what happens around us, but we can choose how we respond to it. That sounds cliché, I know. But in practice, it's a skill, a muscle you build, a conscious choice. Back then, when someone said just think positive, I used to get annoyed. Like, you don't know what it's like in my head. You don't know how hard it is just to make it through the day. But Peele's message wasn't toxic positivity. It wasn't about pretending everything is fine. It was about choosing one new angle. Even just a small shift. Like seeing a failure as a lesson, or viewing a chaotic day as a test of your inner strength. One time, I was riding home from work when it suddenly poured rain. My motorbike broke down in the middle of the street. I was soaked, tired, and hungry. Normally, that would have triggered a meltdown. Why is this day so awful? Why does this kind of stuff always happen to me? But this time, I paused and asked myself, is there anything here I can still feel grateful for? And I realized, a stranger helped me push my bike to the side. Someone let me borrow their phone to call for help. And while waiting for repairs, I got to sit under a roof, watching the rain, something I hadn't done in a long time. Not every bad day ends in sunshine. But that shift, from despair to possibility, was enough to keep me from mentally falling apart. We don't just get tired from work or school. We get tired from comparison. From always feeling like we're not enough. From trying to do more, achieve more, be more, faster. The power of positive thinking didn't erase all that pressure. But it helped me take back control over how I think. It reminded me, our happiness depends on the habits of thought we nurture. So, practice happy thinking, grow a joyful heart, develop the habit of happiness, and life becomes a never-ending celebration. This book helped me realize, healing isn't a final destination, it's a process, a journey where you slowly learn to be kinder to yourself, not judging, not forcing, just quietly admitting, I'm tired, and that's okay. Since reading it, I'm not happy all the time. I still have hard days. I still feel like disappearing sometimes. But now, I'm not ashamed of those feelings. I know they're human, they're real. And what matters is how I respond after. One line from the book I carry with me is this. When you wholeheartedly adopt a positive attitude and go all out with the principles of positive thinking, you can do incredible things. And if I had to name the first book that laid the foundation for my healing journey, it would be this one. No drama, No complicated philosophy. Just a quiet voice, at just the right time, reminding me. You can choose to see life differently, and that is the beginning of change. Ikigai, the Japanese secret to a long and happy life. My journey from feeling lost to finding myself. There was a time when I'd wake up every morning and wonder, why am I even getting out of bed? The alarm would go off. I'd hit snooze. 5 more minutes. Then 10. Then an hour. It wasn't because I was lazy. I just didn't know what I was waking up for. No job I was passionate about. No clear goal. No one urgently needs me. Every morning felt like a loop I couldn't break. Empty. Meaningless. That was when I stumbled upon a book called Ikigai, the Japanese secret to a long and happy life. In Japanese, Ikigai means your reason for being, the reason you want to live one more day. And it doesn't have to be something big. Sometimes, it's just the desire to sip the perfect cup of tea. To listen to that old song again. To write a few lines in your journal. To see someone you miss. The book didn't offer a formula. It felt more like a gentle conversation, with questions that seemed simple, but made me pause and think deeply. What do you love? What are you good at? What does the world need from you? What can support your life meaningfully? I started a little practice. Each morning, I'd write down, why do I want to get up today? At first, the answers were silly. 1 cup of matcha from that corner cafe. Because it's sunny. Some days, I couldn't write anything, and I cried. But that in itself was an answer. I had been living disconnected from anything that truly felt like me. 1 line from the book stuck with me. Your purpose in life is not a destination, but the journey you take every day. We grow up in a world of huge expectations. Find your passion, live your best life, discover your calling. And when we don't have those things, we feel lost, behind, not enough. But Ikigai reminded me that our reason to live doesn't have to be grand. It can be quiet. It can be small. But if it touches your heart, it's big enough. I began doing little things. Cooking again, journaling by hand. Calling my parents more often. Really talking to friends. Not just reacting to their stories. All things that didn't look like goals. But strangely enough, they made me want to wake up again. Ikigai also talks about flow. That beautiful state where you lose track of time because you're so fully present in what you're doing. Not too easy, not too hard, just enough to feel alive. I'd forgotten what it felt like. I was just surviving deadlines. But now, when I write, no pressure, no expectations, just for myself, I feel it. That's part of my Ikigai. Even small changes shifted how I see the world. Like how I prepare meals more intentionally. No phone, no TV, just me, the food, and a quiet gratitude that I get to do this for myself. Even at work, I stopped focusing on big wins and started caring about how I show up. Answering emails with more kindness. Doing things well just because I want to, not because someone's watching. That shift, from outcome to presence, made my work feel less heavy. My relationships changed too. Instead of being physically present but mentally elsewhere, I tried to really listen. Not interrupt, not judge, just be there. That, too, is a kind of Ikigai, fully living a moment with someone you care about. I remember one evening, walking home after a long day. I didn't put in my earbuds, didn't scroll my phone. I just looked up at the sky. There was a soft sunset, and the trees swayed slowly in the breeze. I stopped. I didn't do anything, just breathed. And in that moment, something inside me felt deeply at peace. I thought, maybe this tiny, quiet moment, is the reason I want to keep going. The beauty of Ikigai is that it doesn't ask you to design a perfect life plan. It simply invites you to ask, every day, what's one reason I want to be here today? It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be real. We, young people, are often pressured to figure everything out quickly, to succeed fast, to have a passion, a purpose, a plan. But no one tells us that slowing down, living simply, and honoring our real feelings, is also a form of success, a deeper kind of life. So if today, you still don't know your life purpose, that's okay. Just ask yourself, what's one thing I can do today that makes my heart feel a little lighter? Then do that thing. Cook a meal, clean your space, make a cup of coffee, sit down and take a deep breath. No one has to know. No one has to applaud. No need to prove anything. Because your Ikigai is something only you can feel. And if you listen long enough, you'll find it, not in the big things, but in the quiet ones you've been overlooking. And if you don't have your Ikigai yet, that's okay too. Because the search for it is already part of the reason to keep going. I used to think I needed a brilliant career, the perfect partner, or a grand dream to feel worthy. But now I know. A peaceful morning, a favorite song, a moment of truth with myself, is sometimes all I need to remind my heart why it's still here. Ikigai, the Japanese secret to a long and happy life, didn't change me overnight. But gently, patiently, it helped me piece myself back together. Between work, emotion, passion, and simply being alive. So if you're feeling lost today, please know this. You're not broken. Maybe you just need a small reason to begin again. Illustrated, 9 Habits to Quickly Break Free from Negative Thinking of Takeshi Furukawa. 9 Healing Habits to Live a More Positive Life. At some point, most of us become obsessed with the idea of being better, achieve success early, prove something to others, or at least to ourselves. I remember that phase of my life when every time I opened social media, I felt smaller. Smaller compared to people's achievements, smaller in front of their happy captions, luxury vacations, or perfect love lives, and there I was just sitting quietly in my tiny room, typing away every night, unsure if what I was doing meant anything at all. That's when I stumbled upon a little book called Illustrated, 9 Habits to Quickly Break Free from Negative Thinking by Takeshi Furukawa. It wasn't long, it wasn't full of deep theories, but somehow, every page felt like a gentle reminder I really needed to hear. In this book, the author shares 9 habits, simple ones, that slowly but surely help calm the inner storm and guide us toward a more positive, peaceful life. Habit 1. Accept yourself completely. Ever felt like you're not good enough? I did, and many young people out there do too. But as Takeshi says, healing doesn't start from chasing what you're not. It begins with embracing who you already are. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means recognizing your light and your shadows, and loving yourself anyway. Start small. Write down 3 things you like about yourself each morning. Focus on using your strengths instead of hiding your flaws. And most importantly, stop comparing. Fish don't need to fly. Birds don't need to swim. Just be who you are. Habit 2. Shift your perspective, not the people around you. We often get hurt because others don't act the way we expect. But one of the most powerful lessons of growing up is this: people don't have to be like you, and you don't have to be like them. Instead of trying to change others, try understanding them. Listen before reacting. You'll save so much energy, and feel much lighter, once you stop fighting to control what isn't yours to control. Habit 3. Learn to name your emotions. Ever feel overwhelmed by emotions you can't explain? Like you're being swept away by a current? Takeshi says, don't suppress your emotions. Write them down. Give them names. Break them down. If you feel anxious, ask yourself, what exactly am I worried about? How likely is it to happen? What's the worst case scenario? Once you clarify the emotion, it loses its power over you. You stop being the fish trapped in the wave, and become the one steering the boat. Habit 4. Look at life from different angles. A rejection today is not the end. A failure doesn't mean you're a failure. Takeshi once shared how being rejected by his dream company led him to write, and that path, surprisingly, brought him the success he never expected. Life works that way. Sometimes what feels like the end is actually just a pause before a new beginning. Try zooming out. Shift the lens. You might see that this failure is just a hidden detour to something better. Habit 5. Focus on what you can do. Feeling overwhelmed? Pause. Ask, what's one small thing I can do today? You don't have to fix everything. Just start somewhere. Read 5 pages. Write 3 lines in your journal. Wake up on time for 3 days in a row. These tiny steps, when done consistently, become the foundation of real change. There's no fast lane to healing, only steady footsteps. Habit 6. Accept what you cannot change. Life is unpredictable. Sometimes, things fall apart, without a warning. Like Kawai Donichi, a Paralympic athlete who embraced his limitations and turned them into strength. You, too, can choose how to face adversity. No one's immune to pain, but strength lies in standing up again, and again, and again. Habit 7. Let go of perfection. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. You don't need to be the best to deserve an opportunity. Perfectionism can kill your joy, your energy, and your sense of peace. Instead of asking, am I good enough? Try asking, what did I learn today? The world doesn't need flawless people. It needs people brave enough to try, fail, and try again. Habit 8. Choose to see the good. Positive people aren't the ones who never feel sad. They're the ones who choose to find meaning, even in hardship. Maybe a rejection shows you who truly stands by you. Maybe a breakup teaches you to return home to yourself. Start small. Be grateful for the sunshine, for the friend who texted, for the peaceful silence of a slow morning. Positivity isn't fake cheerfulness, it's courageous honesty paired with hope. Habit 9. Live fully in the present. Most of our suffering doesn't live in the present. It comes from regretting the past or fearing the future. But this moment, the one you're breathing in right now, often gets ignored. So start being here. Drink your tea slowly. Put down your phone for 10 minutes. Call a loved one just to check in. These little things, they're not little. They're the building blocks of a joyful life. Dear friend, maybe you feel like you're swimming in a sea of questions, with no shore in sight. Maybe the waves feel too strong right now, but remember, you don't need to be a shark. You don't need to swim fast. You just need to be you, and keep swimming. We've just walked through books that aren't meant to be simply read, but felt, lived, and held close. Books that invite us to pause, to soften, to breathe amidst a world that often moves too fast and too loud. From the quiet encouragement of Norman Vincent Peale, the gentle wisdom of Héctor García Francesc Miralles, to the tender voice of Takeshi Furukawa, each of them whispered something small into our ears. Something that, somehow, held the power to soothe the silent wounds inside. We talked about that strange emptiness that creeps in even when everything looks fine. We talked about the courage to forgive ourselves. About finding just one small reason to wake up in the morning. And about the quiet, powerful truth that we don't need to be perfect in order to be at peace. I don't know where you are on your own journey. Maybe you're doing okay. Maybe you're feeling lost. But if there's one thing I hope you carry with you after this video, it's this. You are not alone. Your feelings are valid. Your sadness has its reasons. And your path toward healing, even if slow, even if silent, is still a path worth honoring. If one of the books we talked about today made you pause for a moment, if it made you feel seen, or just a little bit lighter, then I believe this video has already found its reason for being. And if it hasn't yet, that's okay too. Maybe you can save it, and come back to it someday, on a quiet night or a heavy morning, when the timing feels right. When you need a voice to sit beside yours and say, I see you, keep going. Thank you, for being here. For spending time not just listening to me, but listening to yourself too. If this video spoke to you, even just a little, feel free to give it a like, leave a comment, or hit subscribe. Not just to support this channel, but so you don't miss more soft, honest things like this in the future. I'll see you again, on a day when we're still willing to understand ourselves, just a little more.